to you. Thank you, as always, for joining us here on Global Television. This is how we welcome you to Global Morning. Today, I'm Uyi Agmofwegwe. Well, it's already inching towards the weekend, but again, we're grateful for the gift of life and for the opportunity we have to always interact and engage with you here on the program. Priscilla Obasi. Yeah, for some people, they thought it was going to be Jemai Manson, but then maybe we were able to pull a surprise.
It's a delight to be here. I'm sure they have gotten into the vibe. You know, Jumei gets to appear 3 times, and myself 2 times. So when you see Jumei 3 times, you know the next day or the next 2 days.
Right.
But it's a delight to be here. And welcome to viewers out there. It's quite an emotional morning for me, considering a lot of factors. I mean, Nigeria is bleeding again.
You want to turn us to Jos real quick?
No. I mean, wake up with that mood, and somehow you're just trying to, just set the tone of your day. Try to be positive.
Even in the face of all of the daunting challenges.
Exactly. Just try to be strong and all of that. I mean, that's why we're Nigerians. We always know how to cope. But it's a beautiful day, and we're expecting the best of today.
Right, of course. Let's stay upbeat, like Priscilla has said. Even in the face of all of these, if you like, turbulence that we're experiencing as a country, we understand that Jos is getting more interesting. Just to be a bit euphemistic with our choice of words this morning. In the meantime, the university authorities have asked students to evacuate the hostels, right? They're also suspending the curfew, as it were, for solely the purpose of vehicles to be able to take the students to their respective destinations, all right? So which means effectively school is shutting down, University of Jos. So that means, again, in practical terms, a disruption in academic calendar.
Exactly.
All right. It's crazy to say the least, but what can we do? We understand the governor himself, Caleb Mufwang, was with the president behind closed door yesterday here in Abuja. Apparently, it was about the killings in Jos. It is a no-brainer to say that this is one killing too many. But the question now is, are we going to keep counting scores, counting human lives as though we're counting poetry? Or are we going to man up, ask ourselves the hard questions and provide the bitter truth as to how we can solve this problem? Nigerians are tired of politicians condemning these acts.
Exactly.
They want to see it brought to an end.
I think we're more reactive, or we're not proactive as a country. We just wait for the worst to happen, and then we react to it, and then we react to it. It happens again, we react to it. Then in the midst of the reaction, we're not planning. How do we avoid this
altogether
from happening again? Because there is every indication that this is likely to happen. You're not putting an end to it. Somebody comes, does what they want to do, take people's life, and you don't think these people will come back. You think it just dies down because you come and say, oh, we sympathize, oh, we're so sorry, oh, everything just goes down. Can we have a government that, plans proactively to prevent, incidences like this? Can we have them put heads together, call for an emergency meeting, state of emergency of some sort? I don't know. Bring the brains together behind the government and try to see that this doesn't happen again. How long would we continue, losing loved ones? I mean, until it gets to you. Does it have to get to you for you to feel the pain of these people? I saw the woman that held her son and kept crying. And yesterday again, I bumped upon the video where she said, oh, tomorrow is my birthday. My son had told me he's going to get me a birthday gift. And tomorrow, today I'm going to be burying my child. No mother wants to bury her child. No mother wants to do that. So it's almost sad. I don't know. I don't even know the word.
Like somebody said on one of our programs, Ramsey, on Journalist Roundtable, he asks a very thought-provoking question. Do we all need to be killed or attacked first before we realize the magnitude of evil that we're dealing with here? And again, as I say, everything rises and falls on leadership.
Yes.
President Bola Tinubu had made a very solemn pledge even before becoming president that, look, insecurity would be first-line charge, so to say, for him. In other words, even if, with a big if, he wasn't going to achieve anything in office, insecurity must be tackled, and then we can talk about the economy and everything else afterwards. But today that hasn't been the case. Yes, somebody also acknowledged during our interaction and engagement on television yesterday that Granted, at the point we're making headway with regards to, tackling all of these insecurity-related issues, but in the last couple of weeks we have relapsed apparently, and we've seen that happen in Jos. We've seen the carnage in Maiduguri, Borno State, northeast Nigeria. And then you are asking, is this going to stop anytime soon? Let's also mention that in between these two incidences I've just highlighted, we also saw what happened in Benue again. All right, so what exactly is going on here, and who is being held accountable? Too many theories as to, well, 1 minute it's politicians who are, if you like, fomenting trouble for their own political gain. Then later you say, no. It is some people who ran away from Libya. They came in here following the death of Gaddafi, so they have all dispersed across the northeast and the northwest. Later you say, no. It is illegal mining in Zamfara in particular, spreading to places like maybe Niger and then of course Katsina. That's why you're having this spate of attacks. Later you say, no. What has happened is that, we have these people who are very extreme with their religious faith, practice and whatnot. So the question is the government overwhelmed? Whether the respective states where this is happening or the federal government. Is the government in a fix? Is the government at a crossroads as to what exactly are the factors driving this propensity? All right, we need to address that. Who is tackling or cutting the sources of funds for these criminals? Who is addressing the channels through which they get essentials, they get supplies? We've heard stories, even though we cannot authoritatively and independently confirm that on global television, that there have been cases where choppers, helicopters are dropping essential supplies for these people. How does that happen? How do they get rocket launchers? Priscilla, I've been to a couple of stores, across this country. You can't just go into a store and buy a rocket launcher. There must be a system, there must be a network of highly connected people, intellectuals in some cases, and then of course deep pockets who are making this happen. Is the government addressing those elements? And then lastly, not too long ago, we heard even under late former President Buhari, and then of course from the office of the AGF, as it then was talking about the same Abubakar Malami, that at least 400 people were in custody regarding sponsorship of terror in our country. What has happened to those people? Later we moved the conversation to, okay, hold on, should we try them in an open court, or should we do it the other way around? That's neither here nor there. The question is, has anyone been brought to book regarding this level of insecurity? If President Bola Tinubu knew that the only sure and guaranteed way he can win election in 2027 is to tackle insecurity 99.9%, is this the kind of conversation we'll be having on the program this morning?
Well, I think Nigerians have even gotten to that point where we're saying, don't worry about the social amenities. Can we just live? Can you just pay our lives? Can we just, have the rights to go to our farms, regardless of the hard economy? Can we go and farm and eat?
And see tomorrow.
Exactly. Can we solve our own problems? Can we just have the life to solve our own problems? If you're not solving it for us, it's fine.
Right.
That is where we've got into. And in the midst of all of this, I'm happy with the fact that the country or the world at large doesn't even no longer depends on traditional media, because if we had depended on it, somehow these things would have been, suppressed. Things would be, people would die. You would hear. The reality is that you see, the reality is that more people will die than what will be reported. So we have people risking their lives to give the updates of the realistic situation.
Go to into those hotspots.
Exactly. Go there, video, get eyewitnesses to speak, and not traditional, or not solely depend on traditional media. Because if it had been that case, what would have happened?
So much of underreporting. And then narratives will be controlled.
Exactly. So I'm just grateful to God for the fact that the world is watching. And like I said, can we live? This is that point where we've gotten to.
Right.
Can we live? Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I have an answer to Priscilla's question, but all in a bit to answer the question, you see your heart is almost practically sinking, because whether you like it or not, we're not just talking statistics with regards to these attacks anywhere in the country. We're talking real human lives. We're talking about people who are breadwinners. We're talking about people's parents, children, spouses, all right, friends, community people with a good heart. They are all being killed, slaughtered on a daily basis. And then politicians are busy throwing their weight behind themselves and their political parties and asking where we move to, so we can stay ahead of the game in 2027. But as a country, we must decide whether we want to be serious with our lives or we want to do otherwise, right? Let's move ahead with the program this morning. We're back shortly with the rest of Global Morning for you. Do stay with us. If you followed the news yesterday, Wednesday, the 2nd of, I should say the 1st of April, you would see that the governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, was very big in terms of news reporting, because at this point in time, there's the theory that the man will likely end up in ADC. However, there's also the expectation that given the visit of some the APC stalwarts, the big wigs in the All Progressives Congress, the ruling party, he will likely give a thought to joining forces with President Bola Tinubu. But again, we understand by today, by the end of today, he would have made a choice as to where he wants to move. Now, the question is, if he moves to the ADC, what advantage does that really give to him? Well, people say he's the governor, and by the time he joins the ADC, he's going to come with his clout, he's going to come with his base, he's going to come with his supporters, or as they say, his teamy supporters. He's going to come with his political structure. Yeah, I like that part of it. All right, so he's going to come with all of this. However, there's a challenge with the ADC now. Of course, the ADC has also had, relatively speaking, its own fair share of internal wrangling. Just yesterday, we read in the news that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has now delisted the faction led by David Mark. So what does that say? Leadership has now been moved to the faction led by the other gentleman, right? But the question is, no matter who leads the ADC at this point in time, how does he intend to forge ahead? Because the ADC is beginning to appear like the real opposition against the APC. So if you have the David Mark faction, if you like, demobilized now by INEC, then it means the ADC might just have to say, there's no need to campaign anymore. Let's just wait for election day, go out and vote, and President Bola Tinubu returns for a second term.
I think the latest is that they're not even acknowledging any of the factions, because both names have been, brought down by INEC on its portal.
So they have to go start from scratch.
It's all depending on, the court verdict, court. And I'm like, how do we even get here? How did it get here? Like, do we have to go through this drama? What is happening? You just know, Nigerian politics is so predictable.
Right.
You see people coming together, teaming up. You want to ask questions around. INEC is so quick to react to this one. We saw the PDP with all this crisis and all, and somehow, I don't think the INEC responded this fast.
Maybe they had other things on their hands at that time. The commission can be very engaged with several issues at the same time.
Interesting.
Right.
So right now they are free. They're having holidays.
No, it depends on the weight of the matter at hand.
There's no weight of any matter.
Okay, talk to us about that.
This is quite new. We have not even heard it yet.
Right.
And we see INEC already taking decisions. Like, this is so fast, if you ask.
So what's your suspicion?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what the suspicion is, but I'm sure Nigerians are suspecting.
That INEC is up to something?
Yeah, of course. They're up to something. And, people will always have their issues. Why not give them time? I know you would say, elections is by the corner. We need to have a decisive, step right now. But why is the focus it's so prompt? It is just so prompt. And it's also coming alongside the whole rumors. I don't know how true it is, but I think it's true to a very large extent. The INEC is saying, we're going to have to revalidate our PVCs for 2027. Like, how? You guys said elections is in January. You're telling us now that we're going to revalidate.
You think that's coming late?
It's coming too late. It's coming too late. And the means of revalidating is that you give 2 machines to each local government, and others can, have access to theirs online. Of course, we know that our network is like INEC and network glitch are 5 and 6. There will always be network.
So the portal is going to be a drag.
Of course, and you're telling us this just few months.
Right.
Few months away from elections. What happened to last 2 years? What happened to even last year? What happened to when the whole CVR continued or started again? So continuous voters registration. What happened when it started? Why did you guys think all of this? What happened to the point where he was elected and he had done his research, he had said, okay, this is the way to move it forward. What happened to those early times? Why are we hearing all of these things now? Because already you know that Nigerians, for them to say, I want to go and join this queue, a lot of people will not participate in that. Those that are left to do it on their phones might have issues with the network. So, what kind of electoral system are we going forward? Are we going backwards?
So do you see voter apathy? Is that the point?
Absolutely. That is what, maybe that is even the goal. I don't know.
By INEC, by politicians, or by a combination of both?
By the combination of both INEC and the ruling party. Because it is only logical that people would not respond, bringing this kind of, reviews or updates months to election. We are seeing these dramas are becoming too much. And in all honesty, Nigerians are not going to take it lightly with them. They should not think, I keep saying it's not business as usual. People are not happy with the situation of the country. You cannot frustrate them any further with electoral processes.
So you're saying enough is enough?
Enough is enough. If ADC are having their issues, I'm sure they know that it's a normal thing with politicians.
Right.
When people are coming together, they will have disagreements because people are coming from different
backgrounds, different thinking.
So it's normal that they would have a misunderstanding at some point. They would disagree to eventually agree.
Right.
So the fact that you can bring up policies that in minutes, it means that you can also allow them to do their things that in minutes, and give them space to make a decision. Right? If maybe by the middle of 2026 or even towards the end of 2026, you have maybe 6-month time frame to your elections. I don't know what the precise rules and laws are, but it looks like everything is just changing and dancing and swinging and all of that.
So you're saying INEC is bringing surprises on Nigerians?
They are. This is not making sense. Whatever it is that, this whole revalidation, the ADC drama, and then jumping into it so quick, and then updating its portal so quick, it's just so fishy if you ask me. So ADC is at that point where, I'm not going to have any pity on Nigerian politicians because at some point they have been in power. But democracy is democracy. If they come together and say we want to change, they have the right to bring the change that they want to see. They have the right to say, I don't want this party. They have the right to say, I want to call on like minds to, move the country to where I think it should be better. They have the right to even have a change of mind, a change of heart, state of heart. So we cannot keep judging them by whatever it is they have done in the past. We'll always give them the fair chance to make the change that they want.
At least within the ambit of the law.
The law, exactly. So the suppression, the intimidation, the subtle drama, I don't know, that is going on. I think it should stop.
Well, I don't know. Politicians and drama, they share the same roof, quite frankly. In fact, I don't think it's possible to have politicians, whether at home or anywhere else in the world, who are not dramatic on some level. The best you get is melodrama, right? But there are those who are hyper dramatic and things like that. And in a situation like ours, a country like Nigeria, for example, given that we're not very far away from the next cycle of general elections, you just naturally would expect this much of drama. But you see, there are several angles to this story about ADC being delisted by no less an institution than INEC. The first is to say the ADC is becoming more intimidating to the APC. The APC has done its homework. It has, as I say, added 1 + 1. So I don't know what it got as a result. But the APC, more than ever before, is now beginning to realize that this is no longer funny. The earlier we take steps, the better for us. So what are our chances, what are our options in terms of ensuring that we continue to stay ahead of the game as against the ADC, the PDP and what have you. So you go back to just 2 days ago, 3 days ago, for example, see what has happened to the ADC in terms of those who have come to join. See what happened in Kano a couple of days ago, for example. Any right-thinking party, no matter the label, no matter the designation, whether you say the ruling party, the biggest party in the world, would be concerned, should be concerned. When you see that crowd in Kano, when you see the caliber of politicians, the Kwankwasia movement and what have you, when you see someone like Gawuna, a man who understands is a grassroots guy in Kano state politics, all right, a guy who was the candidate of the APC in the 2023 gubernatorial election, and now he has switched camps, as they say. So when you see all of this happening, the APC will be concerned. That is the view of some people. Others say, well, the ADC has always had an issue. It was a matter of time before things would come to a head, and things really, at this point, have come to a head. But in all of this, we must have a ruling party at every point in time. We don't need to like the party or those who lead the party, but we've got to have a ruling party. But we must also have a virile, viable, robust, forward-thinking opposition in such a way that we can have some sort of check and balance within the system. Otherwise, it's just going to be more like a mafia clique as against being a governance-based structure.
Exactly.
But you see, this 2027 general election, on the final note, will be a make or break moment for Nigeria and indeed Nigerians, whether for the politicians or for the everyday people. And as such, we must understand that there are consequences for actions. You may not see the repercussions play out today, but it's only a matter of time. Because at the end of the day, you realize that Nigeria is the only country we have. You don't want to distort the polity. You don't want to do so much of irreversible damage just because all you can see at this point in time is 2027. Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a break now, everyone. Shortly, we are joining Ramsey Enoch Agbo to bring you Heart to Heart Inspirational.
Well, my name is Ramsey Enoch, and it's good to have you join us today on Heart to Heart Inspirationals. And let's get you inspired because we value you. You are very important. You mean so much to this generation. Do you know why? Because if anything happens to you on this journey of destiny, it means something has gone wrong with a generation because you are a potential destiny helper. But then, what step are you taking? All right? Where are you? What are you doing? My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Small steps still move forward. We love big breakthrough. A lot of people want to be big men overnight. They just wake up overnight and they want to be big men, not knowing what it takes to be a big man, to be a big woman. Breakthroughs are things that we are supposed to enjoy, but then, does it just fall from heaven? No. One thing we need to understand is that there are things we need to do to really be successful in life. How much work are you putting into yourself? We need to know that life has so much for us. The truth is this: we love big breakthrough, yeah, that's true, but we underestimate small obedience. Small obedience. And that's the reason you see a lot of people make resolutions and they don't keep to it. You see a lot of people do their to-do list for the day and they are not keeping it. Discipline and obedience to small things. You know, little foxes that destroy the vine. You may think those things are small, they don't matter. But then it makes you accelerate. It makes you move forward in life. We celebrate overnight success, but ignore daily discipline. How many people are disciplined today? Even CEOs, they are not disciplined today. A lot of people are not disciplined today. Business owners are not disciplined today. A lot of people have eaten their capitals. Yes, a lot of people. I know of people who ate their capitals. Some even went into debt. These are people that were making millions. I know. I'm not talking abstract. These are people that I know. Where are they today? What happened? Discipline. I've even walked to someone before to say, hey, come on. Do you know what? I know it's your business. I know it's your company. I know you are in charge. But then, instead of just putting your hand into the business money and taking out of it every day, place yourself on salary. Be a salary earner. Let the business pay you. Oversee it. Let it pay you. You don't just wake up without discipline. Oh, you have a need. Bam. Accountant. Yes, sign this check. No. It's not done. Discipline is very important if you want to be successful in life, if you want to make progress in life. Discipline is very important, not just discipline alone. Obedience and discipline go hand in hand, all right? You need to be obedient, all right, and you need to be disciplined. Yet, I want to let you know that nothing great happens suddenly. It happens consistently. Consistency is key. Whatever you're doing. Okay, let me give you an instance. Why do you think anywhere you go to look for a job, whatever you want to do, people look for someone who have experience? Because the more consistent you are on a particular thing, the more professional you become. But a lot of people, because of the issue of diversification, multiple source of income and all of that, these theories have made a lot of people not to concentrate on a particular thing, not to be consistent in doing one thing and become a professional in it. A lot of people are slaving today because they were not consistent in what they were doing. A lot of people are not employable today because of inconsistency, disobedience, and indiscipline. Three major issues: indiscipline, disobedience, and inconsistency. These are thieves of time. Progress, like they said, is not always loud. It's not loud. Sometimes it looks like getting up again. Sometimes it looks like staying committed, all right, when nobody is clapping. A lot of people. That's why, initially I talked about on Heart to Heart, before I've talked about social media. Everybody want to be clapped for these days. Everybody is going on social media to live a fake life because they want to be clapped for. Of what profit is it? It's deception. You're deceiving yourself. I only pity people who copy this online so-called designed people who design themselves to be what they are not. People must not clap for you all the time. Don't wait for the clapping. Don't wait for people to clap for you. Sometimes when walking towards your successful days may not require people clapping for you, or sometimes growth feels boring because when it gets, people don't like work. That's the truth. A lot of people don't like work. So sometimes when you're walking, it looks boring. When you are striving to be successful in life, sometimes it looks boring because it's just like you're driving on the road and it's only you on that road. You're going, no car is coming from behind, no one is overtaking you. You're just going, only you. Sometimes it looks boring. But boring is where mastery is built. Do not despise small beginnings. Small steps compounds. Small habits accumulate, and of course, small disciplines create massive outcome. Just be consistent in it. Every expert you see today was once a beginner who refused to stop because so many things happen to stop them. When you're starting a business from the scratch, it is very difficult. If you are not consistent, disciplined, and obedient, you run away. Yes, of course. That period, that growing, that incubation period, if you're not careful, you run away. A lot of people have run away from businesses like that. Then when other people start doing it, and during that boring moment, that lonely moment, then when they come out successful, they say, well, why did I even leave that business? Because you were not consistent, disciplined, and of course obedient to the rules of the game. Success have a rule. It has a rule. Yes, you need to abide by the rules of the game before you become successful. Breakthrough don't just happen overnight. That kind of breakthrough that you're looking for doesn't last. Yes, a dribbling tap can fill a bucket over time. Don't you know? Provided there is consistency, it's dripping. Pim, pim. All right, let me give an instance. For instance, you get to the hospital and they give someone drip, all right? There is drip on a patient in the hospital. You see the way it drops, pim, pim, pim. It will appear as if it's never going to get finished. But just give it a time. That drip will finish. Everything will finish into the patient's body. But it's dripping. It takes patience, all right? Not because the drops are big, but because they are consistent. It's dropping. Because of the consistency. Whatever you're doing, please ensure to be consistent if you really want to make it, if you really want to succeed. Focus on the progress, not the perfection. Celebrate effort, not just outcomes. Show up when motivation is low. You might not see. Let me tell you something. A lot of people don't celebrate upcomings. That period where you are struggling to be successful, when you're struggling to grow. A lot of people just look at the ignore. Some will not even take you serious. And that's why you need to be careful the kind of relationship you keep. I pity for people who push aside people that were with them when they were in their incubation period, when they were trying to become successful in life, the people that encourage them. Somebody may not even give you all the money, but the encouragement coming is enough. Consistency turns into ordinary actions into extraordinary results. Yes, by the time you're consistent, it turns ordinary action into extraordinary results. All right, keep going. Small steps taken daily will carry you further than big intentions that was never acted upon. A lot of people have big dreams, but they never acted on it. Where are they today? They are nowhere to be found. Well, you need to dream big, and you need to act on the big dream, no matter how small, on a daily basis. Be consistent, be obedient, and of course, what else? Be faithful to whatever it is you're doing. Many thanks. I'll come on your way again. My name is Ramsey Enoch. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you very much for still being here with us. It's that time where we get to look at the national dailies to get you informed this morning, and we're starting with the Daily Independent. First story above the nameplate: 5 ministers jostle for Independent Most Innovative Minister Award. Well, don't take, at this point, I would just say, do not take some things to heart.
Right.
Families of officers detained over coup plot protest at NAS. Okay, so it's no shocking news that, while you think you are living freely, some people are detained without any kind of information to the public. You just feel like everything is going well. There are people that are fighting for their lives and you are somewhere in bondage. So, you still have your freedom. It's something to
be grateful.
So be grateful. Yeah. The Star story says, INEC withdraws recognition of David Mark-led ADC. Party rejects INEC interpretation of appeal court ruling. Well, it was just too quick. Says commission siding with government against Nigeria. Anyways,
not against the party, against
not
Nigeria.
Against the party, against Nigeria. I think ADC should just try its best at this point to just put things together, because they seem to be the biggest force, and of course, it is only natural that any opposition in any sense would want to come after it. So it's not time to have any kind of conflicts at all. Next story: Nigeria's oil reserve deep to 37.01 billion billion barrels rather. Gas rises to 215.19 TCF. Details on page 7. Next story: Tinubu shifts Ogun visit, heads to Jos amidst rising tension. That was a thoughtful one. That is quite thoughtful of him. We still, express our deepest condolences to those families that have lost loved ones in this whole crisis. Tinubu, Nigeria for crude policy key to steady fuel. Tinubu's Nigeria for crude policy key to steady fuel, and that's coming from the presidency. You find details on page 6. Investors' wealth records 30.43 trillion naira growth. A writer to that says, as NGX index spikes 29.35% in Q1, that's quarter 1, 2026, and that detail is right there on page 7. Federal government eyes $74 billion livestock powerhouse with massive investment drive. Details on page 6. 33 banks scale recapitalization hurdle, raise 4.65 trillion naira, and that's coming from the CBN. Finally, El Rufai remains in custody as court adjourns bail hearing to April 14. Details on page 6. Those are your headlines for the Daily Independent. Next point of call will be the Daily Sun.
Oh, thank you, Priscilla. The Daily Sun incidentally has one headline, just on the nameplate. It says, ADC in trouble as INEC sacks the Mark-led NWC. I bet you're going to see that headline and the story on almost all the dailies today. Banks raise 4.65 trillion naira as CBN concludes recapitalization exercise. The writer tells us 33 banks scale hurdle. We understand the investments have come from both local and international investors. Then the Star headline, tension as just boils, with 4 riders saying 3 killed in violent protest against Palm Sunday deadly terror attack. PFN, NOSEF condemn Plateau killings, demand swift justice. Unijos authorities order immediate evacuation of students. President visits Jos today. Global Television will track his engagements in Jos, the capital of Plateau, for you. All right, 4 more headlines down here. It says PDP hits 4.3 million in membership registration, with the writer that says Southwest, South-South, North-Central lead. Don't stand aloof. End impunity. Insecurity now. Catholic bishop tasks Tinubu. APC woos Governor Bala Mohammed, aims to stall defection to ADC. Who is afraid of the ADC now? You want that kind of governor order leaders meets Governor. Wike hits Bauchi governor says he's unstable. Federal government dismisses report of Ezigbo installation in South Africa as Ohanes Indigo issues disclaimer. Those details are on page 8 of the Daily Sun. Those are your headlines from the Daily Sun. Please be sure to read up details for yourself as Priscilla walks us through headlines from the Guardian newspaper.
Thank you very much, Uyi. And on the Guardian newspaper, first story below the nameplate, that would be the Star story. ADC blames APC for woes in INEC. Suspends ESCOs over... Okay, as INEC suspends ESCOs over internal crisis. And who saw this coming, that the ADC would become a threat. We saw APC, dismissing all the strategies, saying it doesn't matter, they can gather, even if they gather in thousands, just as the Bible says.
We don't have opposition.
We don't have an opposition.
Right.
And they seem to be shaking the country at this moment. Well, you find that detail on page 6. Interesting read. I can guarantee you. CBN begins regulation of vital assets custodians as banks mobilize 4.65 trillion naira fresh capital. Details on page 15, and that's the business page. Next story, Plateau killings. Tinubu reschedules Ogun visit, heads to Jos. Details on page 3. Fresh tensions grips Jos after government relaxes curfew. We saw that happen yesterday, and you find a detail on page 29. Lagos Benue leads as Nigeria reports 20,838 new HIV cases. Wow. I mean, when you see that and you see the lead, you want to be excited at first.
Right. And then you see deeper and you realize that the story is different.
It's a different one. Next story, World Autism Day, scarce services, high costs of care, deepen financial strain on household. Details on page 6. Autism is something that is becoming a menace in Nigeria. It didn't used to be a case that was so rampant.
Right.
I don't know why the cases of autism in Nigeria has been on the increasing side. There are lots of... we need to do a lot of research to that effect, because I saw that even the American government. I know that at some point I saw Donald Trump calling on medical personnel, calling on doctors to make sure that they find out what is the cause. Why is it on the increase? That's to say that it's not just in spite of the world. Of course, somehow when we hear of cases like this, we want to attribute it to the Western world, but it is so rampant even in Africa.
I agree very well. These days, every corner you turn, you're likely going to see such a case. At the store, you're in a commercial vehicle, in a busy area.
Exactly.
And we are not probably doing enough in questioning
are we even talking about
the factors driving this new wave.
I think most times Nigerians or Nigeria, our government waits for research from other parts of the world, and then when they come, we're happy. Oh, thank God they've done the work for us. Nobody's leading in making research.
So whatever they sell to you is what you run with.
You buy it, and nobody's saying, "Oh, I think I want to counter this. I think I want to, go and question what has been found." And all. We are just at the receiving end most of the time. And
collect the finished products.
Collect the finished products. Research, we collect it. Everything we collect it. They make toothpicks, we collect it and use it.
You didn't mention handkerchiefs.
Handkerchiefs too. Well, it's not a good one, and that's to say we need to do better. But those are your headlines for the Guardian newspaper. Next point of call will be the First Daily.
All right. Again, I just want the name mast here. It says UniJOS evacuates students as security crisis deepens. That's again talking about Plateau State. Further down, it says here, APC chairman meets Bala Mohammed amid defection speculations. Another headline with a picture of former Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy here says Okonjo-Iweala urges Nigeria to upgrade airports, invest in aviation infrastructure. That's First Daily newspaper here. All right, on the First Daily. So it goes on to say, with the big one here, 2027, INEC withdraws recognition of ADC factions, throws opposition plans into chaos. All right, then further down, bottom right, APC sponsoring fake protests to destroy ADC. That's a spokesman, the spokesman there alleging Bolaji Abdullahi. 30 students, teacher hospitalized after gas leak in Ogun School. That's not nice. Court leaves Turaki arrest warrants, adjourns arraignment to April 22. 33 banks meet CBN's capital requirements after recapitalization. Some piece of good news. And lastly, on the foot of the front page of the First Daily newspaper, it says gunmen kidnap 8 charcoal burners in Plateau. Again, this is about Plateau. Well, let's not give you reasons to be depressed any further. Just read up details of these headlines from the First Daily today. Next part of call is the Nation newspaper.
Okay, thank you very much. On the Nation newspaper, first story above the nameplate by the left corner, APC ADC in battle to win over Bala Mohammed. Well, details on page 3. I mean, this is the time for some politicians to shine.
Right.
Is it a case of highest bidder?
I think the gentleman will naturally have to weigh his options.
Anyways, details on page 3. 31 Ogun pupil hospitalized after inhaling chemical odor. That's a sad one. Details on page 28. DSS risks El Rufai from court to custody. There's some kind of terminology you shouldn't be hearing from some personalities.
Right.
Personalities such as El Rufai and how the DSS is risking it's just. I mean, it's quite downgrading, if you ask me. Turaki trial for fraud opens April 22. Details on page 4. Naira for crude policy shields Nigeria for global energy crisis, and that is coming from our presidency.
Right.
Details on page 4. Tinubu heads for JOS. On page 3, continued. Big story, INEC withdraws recognition of Ford Mark-led ADC, NWC. Okay, this country, vacuum remains until court judgment. Party rejects INEC's interpretation of ruling.
Obviously, the party is not comfortable with the interpretation.
It's just too fast. It was too quick.
So who knows? Maybe there's a chance they can devise an alternative interpretation for the ruling.
I mean, it's
There's a reason they are called politicians, right?
I don't know. I like the words to use to describe this sort of. I want to call it bullying, but I don't know. 33 banks meet CBN recapitalization conditions. Local investors amount for 72.55% of 4.65 trillion naira raised. CBN, no bank in distress. That's some good news. I don't know if it's for our economy, because I hope it translates, into sustainable development.
Right.
Finally, on page 4, we have Zulum gives 150 million naira to families of 3 slain army officers. Okay, those are your headlines for the Nation newspaper. Next point of call will be the Punch newspaper.
The 3 headlines above the nameplate. First of all, let's see top left corner with the picture of Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike. Says 2027, Wike fires back at Bauchi governor amid PDP crisis. On page 3 is where you find those details. Manufacturers face 60% interest rates, that according to reports. How can you do business when you interest rate stands at 60%? It's outrageous, really. 2027, APC resumes e-registration. PDP faction claims 4.2 million members. That headline has a picture of the national chairman of the ruling APC. All right, so Wada.
We don't see any prominent member yet.
Well, we wait. Who knows? Maybe that will happen in no distant time, right?
We are waiting because politicians brag when you see big wigs from party to party. So
right.
a win is a win at the end of the day, though.
Of course it is. All right, let's look at the headline adjacent the nameplate of the Punch newspaper. Plateau killings. Tinubu visits Jos. IG deploys mobile police. The big one says INEC derecognizes Mark Aregbesola parties revolt. With 3 riders, ADC, PDP, OB reject INEC's stance on Mark Aregbesola. Parties accuse APC of inciting INEC. Vow resistance. INEC insists decision guided by court ruling sacks Nafiu Gombe as ADC chair. This is getting more interesting and complicated by the day. A bank recapitalization. Local investors provide 72% of 4.6 trillion naira. Easter, federal government declares Friday, Monday public holidays. And lastly, coup, families of detained officers protest at National Assembly. We saw that happen yesterday. But those are your headlines in the meantime from the Punch newspaper. We encourage you as always to read up details for yourself as we move on to the New Telegraph.
Thank you. On the New Telegraph, first story above the nameplate, recapitalization. CBN reassures customers, shareholders of banks stability as 33 meets deadline, raise 4.65 trillion naira. Okay, next story coming from a report. Global first quarter M&A exceeds $1.2 trillion. Details on page 7. The next story, Middle East crisis. Trump says U.S. considering pulling out of NATO. Oil falls below $100 shares, jumps on hopes. Iran war will end soon. 2 and 4 is where you see that detail. The pages of where you see that detail. Next story, Easter. Federal government declares Friday, Monday public holidays. And you find details on page 2. Defense Minister orders troops shoot terrorists on sight. Intensify efforts to end this madness called Boko Haram. At the end of the day, the names, your integrity is at stake, and that's what I would say to every minister that has been elected to serve with this government.
Right.
So it depends on how the name you want to make for yourself at the end of the day, because legacy is key for those that understand. Next story, membership registration. We recorded 4.3 million members despite challenges. I like that. And that's coming from Turaki's PDP. I heard that there's no longer factions in the PDP.
It's
So why are we
not
seeing-
PDP
why are
and
we
no
seeing-
factions.
Why are we seeing Turaki's PDP?
Well, I think
You know,
sometimes
it's-
the media too is complicit in this, the way we couch these headlines
Yes.
and the sort of narratives, all right, that
So-
we advance. I think those are the issues sometimes.
It's important to push for unity.
It is, right. But what if those who are in the party are not showing that commitment? I mean, as they say, you can't be more Catholic than the Pope, and neither can you cry more than the bereaved.
Actually, so it's one
Right.
thing to say a thing, and it's another thing for it to show in your actions.
Yeah,
It's
in
not
that
just
direction,
about-
yes. You
It's
know.
not just about saying, okay, to the big story. INEC withdraws recognition of David Mark. The fact that this is everywhere, it was very strategic. INEC withdraws recognition of David Mark-led ADC over appeal court's judgment. Drops Arabashola's name. Won't monitor convention congresses. Won't monitor convention. It means you can't hold any conventions yet.
Right.
Because whatever you do or say.
Will be exercising futility, wasting your time and other resources.
Oh my goodness, this is so heartbreaking. Well, let me not start as one member of the ADC because I'm not. But I mean, injustice is injustice. Injustice to one, they say is injustice to all.
But can we say it's injustice when INEC first of all says that this decision is guided by by a court judgment, number one. Number two, the chairman of INEC is a professor of law, and then you have quite a number of the people leading INEC on different levels being very long-standing lawyers themselves. So ignorance of the law is not even an element in this conversation. Therefore, the ADC gentlemen and women can decide to also approach the courts, all right, to see how they can get an interpretation that best serves the interest of parties involved.
Well, I think that's the most logical thing to do. And
Right.
the angle I'm coming from is how they were silent over other party crisis, and then there's just so
Maybe this one came closer to home, whatever that means.
Anyways, that's the next story would be on insecurity. UniJust orders emergency evacuation of students as tension rises in Jos. When I was quite young, I always dreamt of going to UniJust.
Right.
I mean, it was my dream.
Because of the stories you heard.
Because of the stories I heard, it was one of the best universities. We used to have them in Nigeria. At some point, when it was close to getting to admission and all, we heard of the stories, the Jos crisis. It was almost impossible to want to even try to choose that university because you just know that you're risking your life one way or the other. So this has linked. I'm just trying to say that the whole Jos crisis has been ongoing for a while. And one would just wonder when this will come to an end. But some writers said that Tinubu postpones Ogun trip, heads to Jos, begins 4-state visit, and MBF tackles CDS over prodigal sons, 6 self-defense in North Central. Details on 2, 3, and 4 respectively. Federal government opens doors to foreign investors to boost local careers. Details on 4 and 27 pages respectively. And finally, marijuana doesn't ease anxiety. That's coming from scientists. I think I missed one. 30 students, teachers hospitalized after gas leak in Ogun school. Fubara visits gas mission site in Baal Kingdom. Donates 100 million. I shouldn't have missed that. It is on page 4 and 29. APC meets Bauchi governor amidst defection speculations. 3 and 5 pages. 3 and 5 is where you see that detail. Resumes e-registration of members nationwide as Wike marks Mohammed's floating status. Those are your headlines for the New Telegraph. Can we take any more?
Well, maybe that's what we're going to leave it with the papers this morning. Everyone, would like to say a big thank you to you for being a part of it, as well as remind you that all of these headlines we bring to you as such that Global Television as a broadcast media entity or the team here on Global Morning does not in any way contribute to them. We bring them to you just exactly as published by their respective publishers. Coming up next is Social Bars with Ogojuku Mabuno and Priscilla Obasi.
At Witchtech Cables, we don't just make cables, we deliver excellence. Our products are built with advanced technology, trusted for their unmatched quality and durability. With a wide range of cables, swift delivery, and continuous innovation, we stay ahead of the market demand. We are proudly Nigerian, fully indigenous, yet world-class. Backed by a professional team, strong technical support, and a deep commitment to customer satisfaction, Witchtech Cables is more than a brand, it's a promise. Witchtech Cables, quality cables better than the best.
Our language, our vibrant culture and colorful tradition, our industrious and hospitable people. This is Nigeria, a nation that prides itself in abundant human and natural resources. From east to west, north to south, we sparkle, we shine, we have a common bond. Fellow Nigerians, let's do away with ethnic, religious and regional sentiments that divide us as a people. God has blessed us and empowered us to find strength in diversity. Let's make our faith and way of worship our source of unity as we build our nation that stays united. Nigeria, together today, together always. This is a public announcement brought to you by Global Television.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased.
When social media speaks, we listen and we bring you the extra. It's your one-stop shop for trends, tweets, and the tea everyone's sipping on. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and get that extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Boss Extra, where the trend meets the talk, only on Global TV.
The world, it's time to look at buzzing issues on social media, and today we're looking at the rising tension in the city of Jos. Rising tension has been reported across Jos Plateau states following recent incidents that have left many residents worried about their safety. Areas such as Nasarawa, Guam, Firing Gada, and Terminals are said to be experiencing growing unrest, with reports of people relocating to safer locations to avoid potential danger. While details remain unclear, the atmosphere in these communities is described as tense as residents call for calm and swift intervention from authorities. There is an increasing sense of fear among residents in part of Jos as uncertainty continues to loom. Eyewitness accounts suggest that movement have been restricted in some areas while families are making urgent decisions to leave their homes in search of safety. Community leaders and stakeholders are urging for peace, emphasizing the need to avoid actions that could further escalate the situation. Security agencies are also being called upon to step in and restore confidence among residents. Well, let's take a look at some comments from this issue that is currently ravaging the city of Jos. We've seen that video, and one of the comments here is from Mayo. Mayo says, "Why are kids still going to school for God's sake?" Yes, we saw, in the video, a man trying to, take his kids, for safety. I don't know why are kids really going to school at this point, with everything happening in Jos. Let's take a look at the second comment. This second comment is coming from the Voltage King, and Voltage King said, "I have come to the conclusion that Nigerians are really not living. They are just existing, waiting for their oppressors to eat them for their next meal." Oh my goodness. All right, it's a sad one. It's been a sad, since yesterday I've been a bit emotional, when I saw that, and I said, why do I have to open the, social media, and all I see is either killing here or death there or blood here and all of that. Like, it's too much. It's really too much for me. I can't take it anymore at this point, but we need to talk about it definitely. At least bring awareness and see what exactly we can do about it. All right. Okay, I'm not alone today in the studio. I have with me Priscilla Obasi. Good morning, Priscilla.
Good morning, Ogochukwu.
You look good. I love your outfit.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right, so let's talk about Jos. I heard when you said, you've always had an eye for Jos. You wanted to school in Jos, during your newspaper review with Uyi. And I said, I also wanted to be in Jos for a long time. Because I heard stories about Jos, especially when I heard that they grow apples there in Jos. I was like, I would like to go to Jos. I also heard that they had this peaceful climate, like very cold, and also the environment is so serene, like peaceful. Until recent times, I've seen killings, I've seen different things happening in Jos, and right now, Jos is like a no-go area, like a danger zone for so many that really wanted to visit that place. What do you think about this constant unrest in Jos?
It's sad, obviously. I mean, my mood has been down since Palm Sunday. That was Sunday when the whole incident started, although it has lingered for a while. I saw a video where Nancy Ume, the influencer on I think it was on Instagram, I bumped into her video where she was saying her father was born and brought up in Jos, and at some point he had to leave Jos because of the crisis at a tender age. And she said her father is in his 70s now.
That means so it's been on for a long time.
So that's just to say that this incident has been on for 70 years approximately in Jos. It's sad. Every 8 years, we have new governors come and say, I promise you this, I promise you that, I will do this, I will do that. And I would say that every administration of this, governors, I don't want to say they have failed, but maybe in the area of security, honestly,
they failed the people.
I would say they have failed the people. Yeah, because for this whole thing to linger up till now, people just feel like they can come into your community, do whatever it is they like, and go away scot-free. The saddest part of this whole situation was, the governor addressing his people in an ammo tank.
That's what I saw. When I saw Governor Motfang addressing the people from an ammo tank and asking them to, maintain calm.
When I saw this, I just said, imagine your oppressors are watching you. I mean, you've just told them, you guys are more powerful than I am. There's nothing we can do. And I'm shielded. Just go after the people that, are not shielded. Go and get your victims. But me, count me out, because I will forever protect myself. That is what it means. For a governor to come out, hide himself in some sort of protectory or,
with different security men around him.
It was not just the ammo tank. He had people standing. They were, I'm sure, lots of bulletproof cars and all of that, all armed. So what is the fate of, the common man? What is the fate? Is it not just written? Is it not clearly written on the wall that you are on your own? That your life is in your, you don't even have a right to live again in Nigeria to a very large extent. Because some people feel that they are more powerful than others. So our security agencies keep saying, oh, we're fighting a war, an unfair war, in the sense that these people that we're fighting, we don't have rules. They can come out and do anything they want to do. This is our armies, our soldiers saying these things. What will the ordinary citizen say than to run for their life? So, I don't know. The heartbreaking part of the whole situation was the mother that held her son and watched him die. That was quite emotional. I still saw the video yesterday where she was crying and she's going to bury her son on her birthday. Nobody deserves to bury their child. Nobody deserves to go through such kind of torture. Nigeria has failed people over and over over again. What is our fate? I had to say, or I had to just cry out and say, oh, dear Nigerian government, we don't even need your business. You don't need the quality education anymore. We don't want, you guys have said you cannot do it. Okay, we have accepted that it's impossible. Can you guys allow us to live? Can we go and farm in peace and at least cater for ourselves? You guys said you will not cater to us again. You said you will not make lives easy for us. Can we at least protect ourselves? Can we be given the rights to protect ourselves at this point? Because it is sad. It's just sad.
It's really, really sad. Yesterday all through my day was somehow, because I don't know how I stumbled upon a particular video where a man on the road, see vehicles passing and people were going about their business and there were certain, some guys, I don't know if they were hoodlums, I don't know what exactly the crime was, I don't know if he was a thief. I actually do not know what his offense was at that time, but they were constantly hitting him with different tools, bloods, until he died there on the road. And I've been asking myself, where is that human sympathy? Like, don't we feel don't we feel it anymore if we try to hurt people? People don't feel it anymore. That's what I see. Like, everyone has lost this, human feelings, right? You can just pick up anything any day, kill your brother, kill your friend, your neighbor, and it's becoming a norm, and nobody's talking about it. The last time we saw someone address this was when the governor, of course, Moshwan, came out in the Armored Tank, of course, to address these people, and no one even wanted to listen. That was the last time we heard someone addressing it. We've not seen any report, we've not seen any statement out there.
The president is going to be in just today, as we read on the paper. So I don't know what comes out of that, but the normal thing we get to hear is,
so we are still keeping our fingers crossed.
Let's see what comes out of that meeting.
But don't you think that Nigerians, we're actually tired of this statement coming out to really, for press release, statements, sympathize with the people? Is that what we need at this time? Is that what we need at this point? Because it's really getting out of hand. We don't need statement, let's sympathize with you, my feelings or my heart goes out to whoever, the family. I don't think that's what we need. Just swing into action.
Well, I guess
bring the security needed.
I guess that's what they can do at this point. Maybe that's the capacity of what they can deliver. So I don't want to break my heart further. I've come to that point in my life where I've just said, anything goes. I mean, because the more you keep expecting,
I can't do anything goes. I don't know. I don't.
The more you keep
expecting,
the more you keep getting heartbreaks. Yes. I mean, just nurse your heart and stay healthy.
And you know what keeps coming to my head is whenever I remember, the statements from the CDS there when he said, these people are our brothers, they are also our friends, and they are our families, and whenever they repent, to bring them back into the society. I said this yesterday. Even a common man who goes out there to take Maggie, like to steal, even if it's just 10 naira, you see people, going out to jungle justice, they kill you and they do this. When you hurt people, they hurt you back. That's the way it is. And when someone commits a crime, I think the person should be treated as a criminal. That's just it. Anyways, we hope that something good comes out from the visit of the president in just today. Hopefully, of course, we'll bring you update stories as the story unfolds. Thank you so much once again, Priscilla, for your contribution to this topic. As the situation unfolds, residents are advised to remain calm, stay vigilant, and rely on verified information. Authorities are expected to provide further updates as efforts to restore peace continues in the affected areas. We'll keep monitoring the situation and bring you verified developments as they emerge. Thank you so much for being part of the show, Social Pulse on Global Morning this morning. I am August Kumobino. Until I come your way next time, please stay safe. Bye for now.
When social media speaks, we listen and we bring you the extra. It's your one-stop shop for trends, tweets, and the tea everyone's sipping on. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and get that extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Boss Extra, where the trend meets the talk, only on Global TV.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
for the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Our language, our vibrant culture and colorful tradition, our industrious and hospitable people. This is Nigeria. a nation that prides itself in abundant human and natural resources. From east to west, north to south, we sparkle, we shine, we have a common bond. Fellow Nigerians, let's do away with ethnic, religious, and regional sentiments that divide us as a people. God has blessed us and empowered us to find strength in diversity. Let's make our faith and way of worship our source of unity as we build a nation that stays united. Nigeria, together today, together always. This is a public announcement brought to you by Global Television.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On Global Television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust our multi-platform news broadcast real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe.
Thank you for staying with us, everyone. Let's get right to our first discussion this morning, focusing on the socio-economic implications of the ban on sachet alcohol. It's a development that's been here for a while. We've seen so much of swing in that regard. One moment, NAFDAC says we're enforcing the ban, and they list the reasons this ban enforcement is crucial. The next minute, it is the federal government, particularly from the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, saying that the ban and its enforcement should be halted until further directives are given. That appears to create so much of blow as to where exactly things stand today. However, we're joined by gentleman Ambassador Kingsley Owanze, who is Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of Center for Leadership and Creative Entrepreneurs in Africa, to help us find the context and perspectives in this conversation. We'd like to say a big thank you to you, Kingsley, for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me this morning.
Great. So let's begin from looking at, first of all, the necessity or otherwise of this ban, because apparently NAFDAC is a regulatory agency of the federal government. Within its mandate, she will regulate things around unwholesome products, substandard items, and what have you. When you look at this challenge as it is right now, what would you say is the motivation for NAFDAC's action?
For me, having critically looked at the decision to ban such products, I come to a conclusion that there's a possible international collaboration to stifle local production of this alcohol in sachet and PET bottles. if we could recall the argument of the NAFDAC DG, saying that sachet alcohol and pet bottles of alcoholic beverages is one of the main causes of banditry and kidnapping. That's quite laughable, you understand me now? And we're saying that, are you not looking at, you want to ban a product that is in a way helping our economy to keep a good number of our youth in employment? You understand me now? We are looking at it more from the economic perspective, even though the health priority necessity is also very important. Right. We're saying that the decision to even ban this class of products is a clear indication of NAFDAC failure to actually carry out its responsibilities. The manufacturers have the mandate, they have the consent of the government to produce these products, and there are class of persons that can take this product, and if this product gets into the hands of persons who ought not to take it, it shouldn't be the problem of the manufacturer. It still falls within the mandate of NAFDAC, ensuring that this product gets to those who ought to take it. And they've also went ahead saying that one of the other reasons for them to want to ban these sachets, alcohol and pet bottles, alcohol in sachet and pet bottles, is because minors have access to it. For God's sake, what's the responsibility of INEC ensuring that minors don't have access to this product? It still gets to the fact that mandates NAFDAC still have a wholesome responsibility to ensure that within its mandate of ensuring that this product is properly regulated, accessibility is denied to minors. So they should not blame their laziness to carry out their mandate on the manufacturers. Not at all. Not at all. Adults are allowed to take alcohol. Alcohol in itself is not entirely bad for consumption. Are you getting it now? If you're saying minors have access to it, then what's your responsibility to ensure that after the production of this product, in the course of its circulation, there are no channels for minors to have access to it? For instance, you can insist that certain perimeters alcoholic consumption is not be sold around school environment. You can also insist where you know that minors can be. I have been to some. When I socialize, if I go to places when I see people below 18 having access to, I walk up to the owners of some facilities that these people don't have, should in the first place have access to this place, because this place there are certain things that they can't take in within this perimeter, and most often they comply. So it's left for NAFDAC under the current DG. For me, the current DG it's obvious that she doesn't have what it takes to remain there for me as a person, because she ought to work with her team and ensure that the class of persons she's so bothered about, which are the minors, don't even have access to this product. It's their responsibility, not the manufacturer's responsibility. And I can tell you from my own investigations that even the manufacturers, they spend a whole lot of money ensuring that their advertorials, their sensitization on ensuring that underage persons don't have access to this product. So if NAFDAC says they have facts, they have evidences to suggest that minors still have access to it, then they should be in the position to ensure that minors don't have access to it. And if you look at the arguments that have been thrown up by the NAFDAC DG, they are not tenable. We are looking at the current economic situation of the country. As I speak to you, a good number of these manufacturers, they are shutting down. Jobs are being lost by the day. So where do you look at the channel of sales? The vendors, the wholesale distributor, imagine that kind of chain of people are out of business. Huge economic implication that is not even good for the current administration. So we are saying that if whatever policy that ought to be implemented by any arm of the government, if you look at the economic implication of your policy, what is going to be the adverse effect? I'm telling you that accessibility of minors to alcohol and the economic implication of banning alcohol in sachet and pet bottles is grave than even accessibility of minors. You cannot compare it.
I want to ask you, I can see the passion that you bring into all of this. I saw you on our news during the protests at the National Assembly. Is this a case of one or the other? I'm asking to say, are we now in a place as a country, beyond the regulatory task that NAFDAC has, where we have to choose between our health, our safety, and what brings money or what brings value to the economy, because this looks like a dilemma to me.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm telling you that alcohol do not in itself, in the society, affects our health. There's a limit you can take.
So it's about the volume.
The volume, there's a limit you can take. And we are saying that even the sachets, alcohol in sachets and PET bottles, even for me, is easier control than even alcohol in bigger bottles. Yes. If you are saying we shouldn't take alcohol entirely, well, no problem. But you are now unfairly, unjustly trying to hedge out small local producers, giving the so-called international importance of alcohol bigger access to those who are sustaining business. Don't forget that the supposed alcohol that the NAFDAC DG is proposing to be made in the market, many of them are not manufactured in Nigeria. They are imported products. I get it now. NAFDAC have actually certified that those alcoholic products produced in this country, they are safe to be taken. So now, when you edge them out of the business, what happened to the international ones? And that's why someone like me suggests that there is an international collaboration between those importing alcohol and the NAFDAC DG.
Okay, my question is, I know you've cited that banning this thing might affect us economically. I also think that this producers too, as much as we know that NAFDAC has a responsibility of regulating some things, access to this, alcoholic drinks and all of that. The producers of this alcoholic sachets and PET bottles or drinks, is there no way they can also, put in efforts to ensure that these things are gone or are taken to the right places and are restricted where they shouldn't be seen? Because if you leave it, at the end of the day, the government Nigeria is ours. It's a teamwork. You don't say, I fold my hands, now that you do this one, let me supply, you make sure that you. At the end of the day, we are working together. We cannot really applaud any institution in the country right now, because we know the states where the country is. So I think these manufacturers should also collaborate to see that they put in their own efforts to ensure that these things, because if NAFDAC comes to see that we don't have minors taking this, because there are situations where they say they have cited that these things students take it affects them. So then people take it to feel like they can boost themselves for exams. You understand? There are students that have such kind of understanding. So manufacturers should also put in the effort to ensure that these drinks are not taken to the wrong.
Thank you very much. I just mentioned to you now, manufacturers, they spend billions of naira, reasonable business of naira in advocating that minors should not take alcohol.
How about not selling to some set of people?
Thank you very much.
How about not distributing to some shops?
Like I told you, no manufacturer goes directly into the market.
But they have people that work with them.
Listen now, no manufacturer directly goes to the market. If you look at the chain of sales, no manufacturer goes directly into the market.
They have distribution partnerships.
God bless you. So they have distribution partnership. What we are proposing, I believe the manufacturer are ready to sit down with NAFDAC to work out modalities. But unfortunately, NAFDAC DG have made the entire process.
But have they presented this to NAFDAC?
They must have done. They must have done. But
that's speculative. That's speculative. But also sure.
They have done, because if you look, let me give an instance. How would they be spending money on advocacy, ensuring minors will have access to this product that they won't have sat with?
It's something that can be an oversight, and it's something that we should pay attention to.
I think this is also a very good opportunity for all stakeholders to sit down. Not just NAFDAC, manufacturer, civil society advocacy group, to sit down with NAFDAC. We are, for instance, now all organizations willing and ready to sit with NAFDAC on this matter. Because for us, our focus in our organization is leadership and entrepreneurship. We are, like you said, health and entrepreneurial skills or talents or development, they are very pursued. I get it now. Like I also mentioned earlier, alcohol in its entirety is not bad to the health. It's the level of consumption. I get it now.
It makes it easy to consume when you have sachets and sachets. You keep.
It's not true. It's not true. It's not true. It's not true. I can tell you to some extent that I know some persons who just want to feel a little bit have spiritual alcohol in their system, that buying a big bottle of so-called international product for them is not necessary. And what NAFDAC is proposing, if If they are ready, let's get it to the street again, once again. When we're ready, we'll prove to them that it's not truly true. The fact that it's easier for the number of persons from their own speculations that a lot of people take more of these sachets, alcoholic beverages, more because it's cheap. I don't think it's true. I know persons who just take a sachet and they're okay. Or take small bottles, just in small bottles, and they're fine. And I've also seen people who prefer to take big bottles of alcohol. I've seen persons who say, if I take a big bottle of Chelsea, it doesn't have any part on my body. I've seen them.
I think
so
the major concern for NAFDAC and this part of the federal government is coming to ban it for the minors. Yeah, because somehow it's difficult to, when people hide to do a thing, an adult will not care whether you see them taking 10 or 20. If they want to take one, they take one. But a child that has been exposed to this product would want to hide. You understand? And at the end of the day, he might want to dare, or maybe sometimes they even compete with each other. You get so the focus is on minors. The focus is on the fact that it is exposing, it is bringing so much, crime to our society from the angle of our minors have been exposed to this thing. So I think ultimately the solution, as much as we're trying to boost our economy, as much as we're trying to create jobs, as much as we're trying to make the country better, we should also ensure that we're not doing it to harm in return. Right? So we must do it well. We must collaborate. We must make sure that we're doing it at all fronts, presenting it in the best of way that doesn't affect the country at large. So I think it still boils down to our point of having a seated conversation or having a collaborative conversation around how these things can be regulated, how it will not be taken to place where it shouldn't be taken to. That should be the conversation that we should have in NAFDAC. That way it's a win-win. I don't know if you agree.
I agree with you totally. That ought to be the most potent pragmatic approach to this issue. But from the posture of the NAFDAC, the GUC is a one-way traffic thing. It's a one-way traffic thing based on our own sentiment or our own emotion. But we are saying that implementing any policy, it should be an holistic view. How best can we solve this problem? And that can be the only responsibility of NAFDAC. Like you suggested, it should be a collaborative effort. The manufacturers, NAFDAC itself, another integrated agency, the civil society group as part of the process that are going to carry out the advocacy and ensuring that whatever NAFDAC and the manufacturers have agreed on how best to ensure that minors don't have access to this product. The civil society group cannot be the watchdog to ensure that decision, that collective decision between the manufacturers and NAFDAC, because ordinarily we won't be here if NAFDAC have given a window for the manufacturers to sit down. The House of Rep, I hope you're aware, the House of Rep committee on this issue through the national alcoholic policy. I'd also appeal to NAFDAC that please hold on your effort. But I don't know because I sincerely keep looking at how best the NAFDAC are trying to justify a decision that this product will be banned. We can't compare minors, the population of minors and adults in terms of economic implication. If you're also looking at health, this thing can be controlled. Personally, a good number of us are making effort to ensure that we take minimal consumption of alcohol. But I tell you, saying this new shop, where do you take them to? It's not even the manufacturers alone, the chains down the line. Where do you take them to? Particularly now that this economy is already stressed. It's not the best time. There should be creative way to ensure that what NAFDAC want to achieve is attained.
Because I also think that they say sin thrives in secrecy. By the time you start to hide these things, people do it in secret and they feel it more than what it is when they do it in secret.
Understand?
So I totally understand that there should be
a creative approach to solving this problem.
To solve the problem rather than just enforcing it arbitrarily.
Enforcement, yes. But I want us to talk about the manufacturing sector, which drives the economy anyway, the local economy in particular, because that's where you have, within that ecosystem, you have these small, medium-scale enterprises and what have you. But we have also seen what I'd like to call, for the purpose of this conversation, sectoral influence. For instance, you look at a big pharma, look at big large-scale pharmaceutical companies, for example. You look at the big tech. These are big companies driving technology, driving finance, of course, the big banking and what have you. Even, I mean, world-class consulting firms. So see how much of influence they wield. In fact, they have become non-state actors in some cases. I've spoken to people like yourself who are very, very, if you like, passionate about these conversations, right? Whether from the side of regulators or from the side of business people, I mean, the manufacturers themselves. Some of them say that, look, these manufacturers want to stay in business, no matter what the case may be. Yes, regulate all you want, but don't get us out of business, even if we commit infraction, even if we overstep our bounds, as it were, as against, I mean, if we, as it were, break the ethical threshold, if you know what I mean. But in all, the point being made here is, how do we strike a balance between NAFDAC and other regulators, all right, who, of course, within their mandates, should have the overall interest of Nigerians at heart, and business people who want to stay in business, give value, whatever that value may be, and ensure that they continue to scale? Because I think that delicate balance is where the challenge really is right now.
Like I said somewhere, every action comes with consequences.
Right.
If NAFDAC, if we just suggested here that both parties, the civil society, everybody should come to a round table, have this conversation all over again. Whatever that is agreed on, if you violate it, it's still the same NAFDAC that would likely going to be the issue.
Right.
If you violate it, there should be consequences. Indeed, a grave one. Possibly, if you are shut down for violating what has been agreed on, it is very understandable. That will set a precedent for everybody to sit up. Are you getting it now? But the same regulatory agency, now I won't say the NAFDAC did. The same regulatory agency will encourage infraction. You understand me now? And that's where civil society organizations like us, we not only look out for the manufacturers, we also look out for the conduct of NAFDAC officials or any other regulatory agencies in this regard. If we are sincere and we agree, oh, this is the perimeters where alcohol can be sold in this country. In the shopping mall, in the airport, where adults have easy access to. You know that this can be frankly regulated, and there are insignias to suggest that 18 below 18 can't take this product. And if in your outlet a below 18 person takes such product and you are caught, face the consequences. If you set precedents, we are in this part of the world that once you set the precedents and it's old and it's publicized, people will tend to be very careful with what they do. You understand that? But it seems this same country that when people break laws, the same regulatory agency will correct them. So it's a both side issue there. Manufacturers under the umbrella will agree with NAFDAC, the civil society organization, because what I found out mostly is that the good number of government agencies tend not to take civil society organizations so serious. Even when you write proposals on some projects to them, they are always very sluggish. Most of them don't tend to attend to it. Unfortunately, now we've seen government agencies taking over the role of civil society organization with substantive department in the agencies, leaving their core responsibility as government regulator, taking over civil society organization as what done. So we need to break the line and